Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some branded gameplay. Decided to start off with the 40 card build because I am not a very good branded player, and that is probably going to show in this video, honestly. It's been a minute since I've played branded in general, but that's really actually not that big of a deal given that we're learning new lines for the new support anyway, but with branded, you just got to have a different brain that I don't have. You got to be keeping in mind all these effects that are not only in your hand, but also, of course, that are going to be activating during the end phase, aka main phase 3. And it's got that kind of grind game conundrum that I experience sometimes, where I'm not sure if when going second, I should be playing for the grind game or trying to OTK. But here we're going first. We're going to be up against Enneacraft, another one of the new archetypes from the latest pack. This is going to be a very grindy game, 7 turns, I believe. And as you can see, they started off by using Fulos against us, but thankfully, we already had Branded and Red in hand, so I can just set that up with Granganol and Albion and then pass over to the opponent. They're going to begin by setting up the Aura guy, revealing 3 from the deck, and then they're going to drop the... Oh, what is this thing called again? Atori Mar, one of the new, like, big boss monsters for the Enneacraft deck. So, this was obviously my first time playing against the deck, and learned a lot about them in this game. Of course, I learned here that, this negate is only during your turn. So if I had just not used the Granganol and waited on it, then I probably would not have had my Quim negated and destroyed. Now, the Atori Mara actually also has my literal least favorite kind of effect in the world. It's also on the Ninja archetype as well, which is change all your opponent's monsters to face-down defense position, and then those monsters cannot change their battle positions. Just period. Now, granted, we're playing a fusion deck, so we could at least fuse away face-down monsters, but as a synchro enthusiast, not just synchro, but of course Xyz and Link decks also suffer from this. Like, this is just worse than a Floodgate, because, like, at least a Floodgate you can destroy. But these cards that say turn, like, monsters into face-down defense mode, and they just cannot change their battle position, period, I think that's abysmal card design. I hate it. Again, it's worse than a Floodgate. I think it should say they cannot change your battle position until the end of your next turn, because that's effectively the same thing. Like, you're keeping the monsters face down through the opponent's turn and also into your next one. That way they can't be used as material. But then at least, like, the other player has a chance in a grind game. I don't know. It's entirely subjective. Of course, Ninja nor Enneacraft are like tier 0 meta breaking decks. It's just the kind of effect I'm really not a big fan of, even a little bit. But again, at the very least here, we are playing a fusion deck, so even if our stuff gets flipped face down, it doesn't matter if we can't flip it back up. We can just fuse it away anyway. Now, the Mirror Jade got flipped down by the, what is the spell card? Soul and Luna, that's what this card is called. So this can actually get flipped face up, and I'm actually really glad my opponent flipped down my Mirror Jade, because now I can flip it up on my next turn and then banish again. So this was definitely, like, I almost ran out of time on my opponent's turn, just like reading what all of their Enneacraft cards do, because they can all be flipped face up by various triggers, and some of them also have flip effects. For example, this one activates when I activate an effect that includes an effect that sets a card, and then it can pop a spell or trap card. Among the other face-down Enneacraft cards they have is Isa Leon, which the big ones don't have flip effects, but they have more disruptive, face-down to face-up effects. I know that sounds like the same thing, but what I mean is an effect that activates by flipping itself face-up. So this one can bounce 3 cards, and looks like it was placed here. So that's the one I'm going to mainly be worrying about. If I remember right, this middle one can only negate cards that are Chainlink 3 or higher. This one can only search for an Enneacraft card, so I'm not that worried about it. And the last one is, the Architail, which is over here, which can only stop their stuff from being destroyed. So I'm not super concerned about that one either. But no, believe me, in this one duel, I went from knowing nothing about this archetype to feeling like an expert on it, practically. Okay, so we're going to add a copy of the Fallen and the Virtuous, just to try to take care of their field spell, ideally, because that's going to be their main way of actually winning the duel. Is basically Enneacraft is playing this grind game with the face down monsters, and then the field spells burning them out, because I get a counter each time a card is flipped up. So we're going to use Mirror Jade, like I said, to get rid of the Eyes of Leon. I really do not want my field to get bounced, so we're going to take care of that. Fallen in the Virtuous, I mean, there really wasn't a lot we could do with it here, but I really did want to get my, what do you call it, the Ecclesia into the graveyard. Now here I went for the Super Poly, totally not even realizing these were different attributes. I was just looking at this small icon on the actual like card here, you know, like I was looking at this screen and I was like, Earth, and yeah, I think that's Earth, right? Nope, it's Light. So I really should have held the Super Poly for later. That was a misplay on my part, but at the very least we can fuse their Architail away with my Alibur, and then we can just make Despian Coritis. So yeah, again, because of Architail, Fallen the Virtuous did not get to destroy, we're going to shuffle back. I shuffled back their middle face-down monster, which was the other big one. I don't know, maybe I should have shuffled back the field spell to avoid getting the damage, but yeah, either way. So let's see, they're going to, yeah, this is just going to let them add another Enneacraft card. They can also negate the effects of one of my face-up cards, but I'm really, or monsters rather, but I'm really not that concerned about that. We're going to go for the Branded Fusion, fusing away the Albaz and the Saronir, and that's going to let us make Lubellion. Alright, now they're going to use the effect of their monster, but we get to use Lubellion here, and then also Saronir as well. So Saronir is going to dump Branded Retribution. Lubellion is going to fuse for... this was another misplay I made, because I just assumed I had an Ecclesia monster in the graveyard, but... no, you gotta actually look. You can't be assuming, because I do not have one, and this card is gonna get negated. That's actually not that big of a deal. And it wasn't a misplay to make the Dragon that Devours the Dogma in general. Maybe just here. I don't know, but I wasn't gonna OTK either way, right? I think that was actually fine, because it's only negated for the one turn, and then... obviously, once the Fallen of the Virtuous resolves, we can just put an Ecclesia monster in the graveyard. And more than that, we can just summon one to the field here with Fallen of the White Dragon during the end phase. Now, like I said, I am going to get burned by the field spell, which that moment during that end phase there was when I realized, okay, that field spell is a problem. I really need to try to take care of it if possible. So, before they can get Architail on the field, I'm going to dump Ecclesia the Black Dragon and pop their field spell. They are going to summon the Architail, and then they're going to use their Pendulum monster to add either the field spell or the normal spell that searches it. They end up grabbing the normal spell that fetches it. Going to place another Pen Zone, adding what ends up being, yeah, a copy of the... what is this card called again? They all have such weird names. Atori Mar. Now they're going to use Sol and Luna again to flip up the Atori Mar, and this one's going to be a lot more brutal, flipping my field face down. Because remember, all four of those monsters that got flipped down, I can't flip back up. And I really don't have a convenient way to actually fuse them all away, especially because my Branded Fusions are both in the graveyard. Branded and Red is in here too. And yeah, it's not like I can normal summon Cartesia here. I can use Ecclesia and the Black Dragon to get rid of one of their face-down monsters. I believe I went after the one specifically that destroys? Activate, reveal, set... hang on, where did that monster get set to? Was it this one? No. Yeah, whichever one I went after was the one that destroys a monster, if I remember right. Yeah, I really don't care about a card from my hand getting banished until the end of the turn. That's not a big deal at all. But little by little, we are getting rid of their board. And they are only at 1,400 life points, meaning if I can just avoid getting burned out, I'll probably just win on my next turn. They top deck another Architail. They're going to flip up the one they've got face down. Now, they did go to battle here, and I did not want to take the 2,000 damage. I'd much rather take the 900 damage from the Architail. And thankfully, they actually just flipped it back face down. Although it wouldn't have mattered even if they did choose it to keep it in attack mode and battle over Golden Sword Soul, because I could just normal summon Cartesia and then swing in for lethal that way. So yeah, Dragon that Devours the Dogma is going to battle over their thing, and then Golden Sword Soul swings in. I ended up getting really lucky there that the Ecclesia was already face down when they flipped up the Mar. Otherwise, it probably would have been multiple other turns before I was actually able to end the duel, if they didn't burn me out first. So, because we had that Ecclesia that was already face down, it wasn't turned down by the Tori Mar or whatever it's called, then I was able to flip that back face up. And again, because we had a dragon that devours the dogma, that was able to keep itself face up as well. But yeah, I hate that kind of effect. Again, card effects that say turn an effect monster or any monster into face down defense mode, and then it can't change its battle position, period, ever. I think that's worse than a floodgate. It really is awful. But anyway, we won, so it's all good. Let's go and take a look at the next duel. All right, this one is going to be a going second mirror match, and this is where I really get lost in the sauce. It's hard enough for me to keep track of one branded deck and everything it's doing, but two, that's another story. So we got Maxi and Super Poly though, so things should hopefully be at least a little bit easy here. They're going to lead with Aliber adding Branded in High Spirits, activating the Branded in High Spirits, revealing Molcharmy Fuelos in order to send Rindbrum, and then of course they're going to add the Fallen of the White Dragon. Now when they activate Fallen of the White Dragon effect, I'm going to of course chain the Maxi. They sent the Dragon that devours the Dogma, so they can add either a Tri-Brigade or Dogmatica card during the end phase. We're going to find Aliber off the Maxi. Our opponent's going to droll us here as well. That is going to cut them off from a couple of things, but they can actually do a fair number of things under the Droll and Lockbird here. They're going to summon out Incredible Ecclesia from the deck, and then of course the Golden Sword Soul. Then they're going to tune with the Fallen of White in order to make Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon. Now they're going to activate Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon, pulling out Quem from deck. Golden Sword Soul is going to activate. They're also going to use the Quem effect. So Quem is going to end up sending the Cartesia, and then Golden Sword Soul can revive her. That's their way of getting access to Cartesia, even though they can't search, which was really good on my opponent's part. All right, now they're going to fuse into Granganol. Granganol gets to activate. They're also going to use the Quem effect here, summoning the Cartesia yet again. All right, and then Granganol is going to dump Albion. They have Dogmatica Ecclesia in their hand as well. They're going to special that and then activate it Brandon in White. It's going to fuse Fallen of the White Dragon with the Granganol on the field in order to summon out the Mirror Jade. Which really, it was this Brandon in White that's going to make my life hard here. If it wasn't for that, summoning out the Mirror Jade, I think I would have a really easy path to victory here. But this Mirror Jade makes this Retribution live and obviously has its own banish, and they've got the Quem and the Cartesia and the Ecclesia. So even if I were to like Super Poly, for example, Quem Cartesia here, they could still use Ecclesia if they've got another copy of Cartesia to summon, which they probably do. They should anyway. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. Like, there's so many things to keep track of, not just with your own branded board, but also on the opponent's branded end board as well. So I'm going to lead with the Fallen of White here, and that's going to actually force out the branded Retribution, which is good. I actually wanted this to happen because I did not want to have to deal with this counter trap card. I maybe should have used Super Poly earlier, but my whole thing with Super Poly is like, I just did not know what to fuse away here. I settled on fusing away Quem and Mirror Jade in order to make Coritis. Because again, I figured, okay, my opponent's going to have access to Cartesia no matter what because they have Ecclesia out. But these two on the field at the same time don't really do that much together. Like, again, because Ecclesia mainly represents another Cartesia here, so I was like, that's fine. They're going to use Mirror Jade's effect, so I kind of have to OTK this turn to have a chance to win. They're also going to use Aliber to revive and negate my Coritis. Since it's getting negated, I'm like, I guess I'll attack drop here. It doesn't really matter either way. Alright, so I'm going to normal summon Aliber, adding the Fallen and the Virtuous, although I wonder, I should have just gotten, no, I already activated Fallen of White, right, of course, and they negated it, so yeah, no, I should not have tried to go for the Branded and High Spirits. They're going to chain Cartesia, fusing with Aliber to make their own Coritis, which I'm mostly worried about getting to Fallen of Albaz. I don't really care about the attack drop effect. But we're going to use Brain Diffusion on my own Albaz plus Tri-Brigade Spriggan's Kit for Albion. That way I can go Chainlink 1 Albion, Chainlink 2 Kit F in order to revive Albaz. They're going to chain their Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon in response. Reviving Quem from the graveyard, which sucks. I really do not want to have to deal with Quem. But I really don't honestly have a choice here because Albion's going to resolve, right? And I'm going to end up fusion summoning, which means the Quem will get to activate. I'm going to make Chaos Star Source Dragon here and just try to pop their defense mode monsters, because again, I gotta swing in for lethal because of my opponent's Mirror Jade effect during the end phase, but of course, they get both of their Quem effects, so they get to mill and revive the Mirror Jade again, and all of a sudden these things that I super polyed away are back on the board again. It's like, ugh, it's so frustrating. So Quem's gonna mill Tri-Brigade Springen's Kit, Albaz gonna fuse with the Mirror Jade they revived in order to summon out my own Mirror Jade, but of course, they just get to use the effect of the kit they sent in order to revive the Mirror Jade anyway. Corides is going to drop the attack of my Alibur. So between these two effects, I can't OTK anymore. And then, yeah, I decided to just concede here, because not only can the Mirror Jade banish one of my cards, but again, everything's going to get board wiped during the end phase, and because I'm turn player, I'm pretty sure the way this works, I could be wrong, but I think because I'm turn player, I have to resolve all my end phase effects first, meaning that even if, yeah, I'm like summoning and adding, like I'm not going to have a board because they're always going to get to Mirror Jade last and just wipe me. I guess I could have tried setting Fallen and Virtuous or something, but like I really don't see how one copy of that would have let me come back here. But I could be mistaken about that, and I could have also easily misplayed during my turn. Oh, plus also, yeah, they can still Corides to summon out from deck here. Yeah, I really did not think I was coming back at this point, but anyway. So only 2 games for this video because they were both kind of longer, more grindy back and forth games, but wanted to showcase what Branded could really do, even if I wasn't the one doing it. Let me show you my list, and then we will finish off here. Alright, so here is my 40 card Branded list. It's the same one from the guide video I put out the other day, which I'm going to link in the description below, which of course is just a smidgen of the information that you would need compared to what someone like April could provide. Her guide is linked in the description of my guide, which is linked in the description. You can find it if you follow some amount of links, or just search April Yu-Gi-Oh! I think everybody who knows about Branded and Master Duel knows about her, though. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, 40 card Branded. I wanted to start off with this build before I tried the 60 card build, which I don't know if I'm ready for like more effects to keep track of. I'm not gonna lie, like I'll probably revisit this deck at least one more time this month, but I don't know how much more I'm gonna come back to this because like I said, I just really not only have a hard time with Branded, I don't particularly like it, personally. I don't hate it as a deck. It's not like, oh, Branded shouldn't exist, blah, 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 you know, like every other Yu-Gi-Oh! Player about the decks they don't like. But for me, I just mostly just dislike playing the deck myself. I don't really care about having to play against it, but yeah, the play patterns just aren't very intuitive to me. It's just I must not have the right kind of brain to keep track of it, all the different effects, and it's not even just keeping track of all the different effects that have already been played, but more like what I could go into, because it really feels like you could do almost anything if you open like any one of your starters, and knowing exactly what to do, especially when you get disrupted, like I said, is pretty difficult for me. And normally I would like go out of my way to watch a lot of gameplay and like try to get better at the deck, but again, I just don't have a lot of fun when I play Branded, so I'm probably not gonna do that. Like I said, probably at least one other time this month I'll come back to it, but nevertheless, I am still glad that I picked up the cards from this pack. Obviously, Fallen and the Virtuous is going to be used in like any number of decks. Fallen of the White Dragon, I'm definitely glad I picked up a playset of this because it's going to be useful in Ritual of Light and Darkness whenever that archetype comes into Master Duel, and that is a deck I'm very eager to try. Tri-Brigade Springen's Kit, I'll probably end up making some out of Tri-Brigade, hopefully, so we'll get some use out of her there as well. And then, of course, Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon, also used in the Fallen and the Virtuous package. So these cards have a lot of utility, even if you're not interested in actually playing Branded, which is really, really nice. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the deck for now. Again, I'm sorry I don't have more thoughts, but I'm just not the best Branded player in the world. So I think I'm just going to end off here. Thanks again for watching. Super appreciate the support. And speaking of support, let's go ahead and move on to the outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.